Let's talk to Elliot Keck now. He is head of campaigns at the Taxpayers Alliance. Something else the government is doing is cracking down on people not working or studying. New figures show that about 1 million under 25s fall into this category, the worklessness crisis that exists as the government plots a crackdown on benefits. Also, we have information that says that around 4.2 million adults will be claiming the personal independence payment by 2030, up from 3 million today, which means that an extra 250,000 people or so each year will continue to claim these benefits. Let's talk to Elliot about that. Elliot, what do you make of what the government's doing? Will it work?
I don't think it will work, and I'm going to use that horrible phrase, joined up thinking. There is clearly no joined up thinking between the Chancellor and the Work and Pension Secretary, because the trademark policies of this government so far has been to make hiring young people much more expensive and much riskier.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly lots of people will say that within the budget, for example, there are moves anyway to massage those changes between hiring younger people on a lower minimum wage and people who are a little bit older and get a bit more money.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I got my first job as a 16-year-old when the minimum wage was about £3.70 for 16, 17-year-olds. I know for a fact I wouldn't have been hired if it wasn't for the fact that my employer was able to pay me much, much lower. It was just a small local cafe. And they've now significantly closed the gap between people who are over the age of 21 and under the age of 21. In addition, they've reduced the point at which you get employment rights, or they're planning on reducing it from 2 years to a much, much lower point. And they've also increased national insurance on employers. So, if you're an employer now and you're thinking about hiring staff, I think you're definitely not going to be looking at younger people. You're going to be looking at experienced people that that you can trust, that you're unlikely to need to get rid of within a short period of time. And, as a result, if you're talking about getting under 25s back into work, the government is making that very difficult.
Just on disability benefits itself, I have absolutely no problem as a taxpayer with my taxes going to people who genuinely deserve them. But there do seem to be a huge increase, a very, very significant increase in disability benefits. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, of course, when we're talking about disability benefits, we're talking about benefits for people who are out of work and cannot work and get benefits as a result of that. And we're talking about people who get benefits to help with their living situation, with difficulties created by that disability. And the significant increase that we've seen since before the pandemic, I'm afraid, is unique for the United Kingdom. We're really the only country to see not only an increase of this size, but really any increase. Only Denmark can compare, and I'm not an expert. I can't say the exact reasons. I would look at probably things like the extent of the lockdown, the severity of the lockdown, the fact that we locked down education for so long, but also possibly the way that we treat some mental health issues as a society means that people are reaching for benefits possibly easier and quicker than maybe is entirely appropriate.
There are battles that people have, of course, to get disability benefits and so on. There are many people who completely deserve them, but I just wonder, I mean, they're by its very nature, there will be people who are gaming the system and getting benefits for which they should not actually qualify. Is the government doing enough, do you think, to deal with that?
No, I don't think they are. I think the last government did look at personal independence payments. They had some interesting ideas as to how to solve them. So specific funds, specific vouchers to deal with the specific issues that you're claiming the benefits for, rather than just a cash payment, because at the moment it's just a cash payment. It is calculated based on what they think your additional cost might be, but you can actually use that money for anything you want. And I think ultimately, when you look at the extent that personal independence payments are going to increase, in particular from about, I think it's 22 billion to 31 billion over the next few years, I'm afraid we're going to have to look at means testing these benefits. I think you should only be able to claim these benefits, if you actually cannot afford your cost of living, and also we're going to have to look a bit more closely about the criteria for gaining them. Because listen, if you create the incentive structure for people to claim them if they don't need them, people will do it. That's just natural human nature, I think.
Of course. Elliot, thank you for that analysis. Elliot Keck there, head of campaigns at the Taxpayers Alliance.